Now let's discuss the next topic, exchange of gases. We know that alveoli are the primary sites of exchange of gases. Exchange of gases also occur between blood and tissues. Children, oxygen and carbon dioxide are exchanged in these sites by simple diffusion, mainly based on pressure or concentration gradient. Solubility of the gases as well as thickness of the membranes involved in diffusion are also some important factors that can affect the rate of diffusion. So, the pressure contributed by an individual gas in a mixture of gases is called partial pressure. So, here you can see the letter P near to O2. So, this is partial pressure of oxygen. This is partial pressure of carbon dioxide. Okay. So, the partial pressure of these two gases in the atmosphere of air and the two sides of diffusion will be given. So, it is there in our textbook in page number 272. Respiratory gas is oxygen. The atmospheric air is 159, whereas in alveoli it is 104. Blood, deoxygenated blood, it is 40, and oxygenated blood it is 95, and when it reaches to tissues again it will become 40. Like that, in the case of carbon dioxide, it is 45, and blood, that is in deoxygenated, it is 40 in oxygenated blood, and it again become 45. So what happens, children? A gradient for a concentration gradient for oxygen from alveoli to blood and blood to tissue is happening. Similarly, a gradient pressure for carbon dioxide in the opposite direction. That means from tissues to the blood and blood to alveoli. So after reading it, then you analyze this chart, it will be very easy. So as the solubility of carbon dioxide is 20 to 25 times higher than that of oxygen, the amount of carbon dioxide that can diffuse through the diffusion membrane per unit difference in partial pressure will be much higher compared to that of oxygen. So the diffusion membrane is made up of three major layers. I will show you three major layers. It is there in this diagram, namely the thin squamous epithelium of alveoli. The same diagram is there in our textbook. Then the endothelium of alveoli, capillaries, and the basement membrane. Okay. So, what happens? It is the total thickness is much less than a millimeter. So, all the factors in our body are favorable for diffusion of oxygen from alveoli to tissue and that of carbon dioxide from tissues to alveoli. So, now you analyze the charts, children. The inspired air, what happens? The alveolar air is there. Here the partial pressures are given through the pulmonary vein. It moves, and the systematic arteries in heart will remove the dirt material, and what happens? Systematic vein carry out this, and pulmonary artery, and the inhalation and expiration is happening, and the carbon dioxide moves out. Okay, so that's about exchange of gases. The next one is transport of gases. So first of all, let's discuss about transport of oxygen. Hemoglobin is a red colored iron containing pigment, isn't it? Hp. So oxygen can bind with this hemoglobin in a reversible manner to form oxyhemoglobin. Okay, oxyhemoglobin. Each hemoglobin molecule can carry a maximum of 4 molecules of oxygen. So binding of oxygen with hemoglobin is primarily related to partial pressure of oxygen. So this partial pressure of carbon dioxide, hydrogen ion concentration, and temperature are the other factors which can interfere with this binding. So in our textbook, as graph is given an oxygen dissociation curve. It's a sigmoid curve. Why it is like that? It is obtained when percentage saturation of hemoglobin with oxygen is plotted. So this curve is called oxygen dissociation curve, and it is highly useful in studying the effect of factors like P carbon dioxide, that is partial pressure of carbon dioxide, hydrogen ion concentration, etc. So in alveoli, where there is high partial pressure of oxygen, low partial pressure of carbon dioxide, lesser H plus ion, the factors are all favorable for the formation of oxyhemoglobin. Whereas in tissue, what is the condition? Low PO2, high PCO2 and high H plus concentration. So what happens? So it is favorable for dissociation of oxygen from oxyhemoglobin. So this clearly indicates that oxygen gets bound to hemoglobin in the lung surface and get dissociated at the tissues. Clear? So every 100 ml of oxygenated blood can deliver around 5 ml of oxygen to the tissues under normal physiological condition. Children, what will be the condition during the transport of carbon dioxide? This carbon dioxide is carried by hemoglobin as carbaminohemoglobin. This binding is related to the partial pressure of carbon dioxide, PO2. Is a major factor. When PCO2 is higher and PO2 is low, opposite condition. As low as in the tissue, more binding of carbon dioxide occurs, whereas when PCO2 is low and PO2 is high as in alveoli, dissociation of carbon dioxide from carbaminohemoglobin takes place. Here the condition, both the conditions are given. Here carbon dioxide which is bound hemoglobin from the tissues is delivered at the alveoli. So RBCs contain a very high concentration of the enzymes, carbonic anhydrase and immune quantities of the same is present in the plasma too. Children, so equation is given in our textbook into page number 275. CO2 plus H2O gives carbonic anhydrase, that is H2CO3. Then again the carbonic anhydrase works on it. Then HCO3 minus plus H plus is released. So at the tissue site where the partial pressure of carbon dioxide is high, due to catabolism, carbon dioxide diffused into the blood and forms HCO3 minus and H plus. Again, it dissociates. So the alveolar site, whereas PCO2 is low, what happens? The reaction proceeds in the opposite direction. So both forward and backward reactions are given. So the opposite direction, it leads to the formation of CO2 plus H2O. So thus CO2 trapped as bicarbonate at the tissue level as HCO3 minus as bicarbonate at the tissue level and transported to alveoli and released as CO2. So that is the condition. So both the conditions are given here. You got the idea, children? Next is about the regulation. The human being have a significant ability to maintain and moderate the respiratory rhythm to suit the demands of the body tissues. This is done by the neural system, isn't it? All the actions are controlled by neural system, a specialized center present in the medulla region of the brain called respiratory rhythm centers. This is responsible for the regulation, and one more center is there at the pons region of brain called pneumotaxic center can moderate the function of respiratory rhythm center. So neural signals from this center can reduce the duration of inspiration and thereby alter the respiratory rate. So a chemosensitive area is situated adjacent to the rhythm center, which is highly sensitive to carbon dioxide and hydrogen ions. So increase in these substances can activate the center, which in turn can signal the rhythm center to make necessary adjustments in the respiratory process by which these substances can eliminate it. So receptors associated with aortic arch, carotid artery also can recognize changes in carbon dioxide and H plus concentration and send necessary signals. Okay, so in chart it is given. Okay, children, so that's about the regulation of respiration. Now let's discuss some of the disorders of respiratory system. First of all, asthma. It is a difficulty in breathing causing wheezing due to inflammation of bronchi and bronchioles, that is asthma. Then emphysema. It's a chronic disorder in which alveolar walls are damaged, due to which respiratory surface is decreased. So it is diagram is given. So one of the major cause of this is cigarette smoking. Cigarette smoking is injurious to health. Okay, smoking kills. You know that smoking is a suicide and a murder at the same time. It will be effective in passive smokers than active smokers. Okay. Then occupational again emphysema. Then occupationally related, that means job related disease. In certain industries, especially those involving grinding or stone breaking, so much dust is produced that the defense mechanism of the body cannot fully cope up with the situation. So long exposure can give rise to inflammation leading to fibrosis and thus causing serious lung change. So workers in such industries should wear protective masks. So these are some diseases related to occupation disease. Okay children, so that's about the lesson breathing and exchange of gases. You have to read a lot children. Okay, so thank you children. You read the textbook, read the summary and try to answer the exercise question. Okay.